Buenas tardes, concejales y alcaldesa. Mi nombre es Nidia Soto. Trabajo con Construyendo Comunidades Saludables, la escuelita, lo cual nos guiamos por enfatizar en la necesidad de vivienda que hay actualmente. Creemos que vivienda es un derecho humano y proporciona estabilidad y seguridad a nuestras vidas, el tener una vivienda. Cada día trabajamos arduamente para construir poder comunitario, para que nuestra comunidad comparta sus experiencias vividas de la alta falta de vivienda. El tema de poder pagar una vivienda o un techo y vivir con dignidad. Si tenemos vivienda, podemos contribuir con la educación, contribuir con una economía y tener mejor salud mental. De lo contrario, todos somos impactados negativamente por tener que contar centavo por centavo de los ingresos que actualmente estamos ganando y vivir con temor de no poder pagar un alquiler. Agradecemos el gran trabajo a la ciudad, al abogado de la ciudad y al Departamento de Desarrollo Comunitario, el cual hizo posible la junta, la reunión pasada para poder proporcionar el segundo borrador de esta ordenanza, y les pedimos al concilio que voten por un 2%, lo cual asegurará que muchas familias aquí en Salinas puedan pagar un techo individualmente y dejar de vivir con muchas familias diferentes. Gracias.
Good afternoon, members of City Council, Mayor. My name is Nidia Soto, and I work with Building Healthy Communities and La Escuelita. And I am here because I want to highlight the need of housing. It is a human right, and this gives us stability in our life. It allows us to be able to have a decent job, community power, and it also helps us have a more stable life. The lack of housing does not allow us to contribute with dignity to education, the economy, and mental health. It does not let us live freely. We have to count cent by cent all our earnings. It makes us live in fear because we can't pay the high costs of rent. But I want to thank you for all the work that the City Council has done. I want to thank the lawyer of the City Council. I also want to thank the Department of Community Development for the event that we had not long ago, where we reviewed the second draft. And I want to highlight the fact that we should approve 2%. And we're asking the council to approve 2% because that is going to allow a lot of families to be able to pay for a roof over their head and not have to live in overcrowded situations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And we will start with 24-427, the tentative map, 2021-001, the request to subdivide an existing 189.27 acre lot into 427 single-family and multifamily residential lots with an additional 10 park, open space, and public, semi-public lots. 437 total in a portion of the Central Area Specific Plan. And we have Courtney Grossman, our planning manager, here to give the report. Hi, welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Craig. Members of the council, thank you for that lengthy introduction of the project description for the tentative map. So this tentative map is one of the first implementing stages of the development of the future growth area. On the map in front of you, shown in color, which we'll show in a larger map here in a few seconds, this is a request to take a 189-acre portion of the Central Area Specific Plan, which is a part of the FGA, and subdivide it into approximately 427 residential lots and a couple lots for open space and schools. It will take place over probably several years. Exactly how many we don't know, but it's in 6 phases, and about 1,674 dwelling units are expected out of this development. This slide is more of a blow-up of the central area. Remember, on the left side is the western area, what we call the West Area Specific Plan. The right side is the East Side Specific Plan, or future growth area, rather. This project is bounded more or less in the center. It's shown more or less in a black outline. I don't know if I can do that. Here I am, right there. So this is the boundary of this map. So it's not the whole central area. It's just a portion of the central area. The project site is obviously north of Bronda Road. There's the address. It includes a number of zoning districts. In the specific plan, there are, I don't know exactly how many zoning districts, but there are several. They're graduated zoning districts. In some cases, there'll be various levels of residential that have different densities and obviously the typical open space and park. And in this particular development, there's a kind of a new concept called Village Center. And this is part of the future growth area and looking at mixed use where you would have residential on top of commercial buildings in a somewhat downtown type development where you'll have parks nearby. And this is a newer concept that you haven't seen in the existing zoning code. It's very specific to this plan area. The map shows the outline, more or less, of the CASP overlaid with an aerial photograph. For location, right here, I believe, is the Everett Alvarez High School. So this would be an extension of and the project area. This map shows the relationship of the future growth area. Right now, in zoning, it's gray because there's no specific zoning. These specific plans are required in order to implement the general plan through the process of creating specific plans, creating the zoning standards, and going to the implementation part, ultimately, of tentative maps, which is where we're headed next. So essentially, west area right here, east area here, central area. This box more or less represents the location of the tentative map. Everything to the south would be the existing city limits, and north is outside of the city. As mentioned before, new development in the FGA requires a specific plan. This plan includes single-family, multifamily, and mixed uses. The densities, in this particular case, we're looking at about 1,674. There are a couple numbers floating around in the staff report. 1,804 is the general plan maximum. 1,778 shows up on one of the map sheets. And the reason we can't get to the 1,778 right now is because there's a greenhouse gas study that restricts at the 1,674. The exhibit to the left shows basically the land uses that are in the specific plan. You'll see the commercial areas, village center, here's some parkland. The edges are residential. This is a school, this is a school. The project has been reviewed by staff. It's consistent with the general plan and with the CASP. There is a related development agreement. The real crux of the development agreement in this case is that it allows the tentative map to have an initial 5-year expiration date. And if the tentative map is approved, it can be extended all the way up into the year 2040. The tentative map was sent to, and this is the processing of the tentative map, it was sent to public agencies as required by the Subdivision Map Act and by our subdivision regulations. It goes to utilities, public agencies, and school districts. Comments were received, PG&E, MST, and the MBARB folks. Responses to those comments are embedded in the staff report. There's an affordable housing plan as required. It's subject to the current inclusionary housing requirements that are embedded in the ordinance today. In this particular case, there will be 335 income restricted units. 201 of those are for rental, and 134 are for sale units. 30 years in terms of the timing, and the various levels of income are shown on the screen. Eventually, there will be affordable housing agreement as consistent with the affordable housing plan, and that happens during the later stages of the implementation of this particular map. For instance, a homeowners association and CC&Rs will be required. There's an agreement letter, a third-party agreement that was signed by, I believe, members of the development party and with the community, and we'll talk about that I think on the next slide. Nope, we won't. But that agreement is a third-party agreement, and the staff position on that agreement is that while it's very, very closely integrated with the provisions in the affordable housing plan, it does not match exactly. One of the main differences is with what we call concurrency. Members of housing, I believe, are here, and they can explain those minute details or details. There was a Planning Commission meeting, I think it was about a week and a half ago, July 17. The Planning Commission received testimony from the public, and there are also a few questions that the Planning Commissioners raised in terms of environmental review, the agreement letter, the timing of the housing construction. And one of the points about the timing was how many houses of inclusionary are required as the pacing happens with the market rate units. The agreement letter calls for, I believe, 1 affordable unit for each 6 production or rather, market rate units. The housing ordinance is slightly different. The thresholds are a little bit different. I won't get into those details, but if those questions are going to come up, housing here will handle that. I think it's around the 50th home or something to that point. Again, there are questions about HOA and the CC&Rs, who funds, how does that work, the MST comments and PG&E. In this particular case, it was requested that the responses and the questions from that Planning Commission meeting be embedded into the City Council staff report, and they are there for the council to review. There's also a question about the number of school sites, which are 2, and the locations, which we just showed on the screen. Traffic comments also came up at the Planning Commission meeting, and I believe engineering here is to be available should those questions come up from the council. At the end of the meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the map for City Council consideration. In terms of CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, this project is a portion of the CASP. The CASP was reviewed by an EIR. The EIR was certified by the council. This project has been determined to be consistent with and analyzed in the manner that was certified by the City Council. So this project, staff recommends, is consistent with that EIR. A checklist was put together. It's dated June 28, 2024, and that checklist analyzes the various issues and concludes that there are no impacts with this project that were not analyzed by that prior EIR. There's a CEQA section 15183, which is the basis for this analysis. With that, the recommendation is to, 1, determine that the project is consistent with the EIR. That EIR is listed as I believe it's the central area, environmental impact report, the final EIR, certified by council. And then finally, approve the tentative map, which would take a 189-acre lot and subdivide it into 427 single-family, multifamily, and other public open space lots for development of future housing in the city of Salinas of about 1,674 dwelling units. With that, 2 letters were received recently, I think today. One of them was from Landwatch, another one from Alexia Garcia. Both of these letters support the project and recommend that council approve the tentative map. With that, this concludes staff's presentation, and staff's available for questions.
Great, thank you. We'll go to council members for questions, then we'll go out to the public for general public comment on this item, and then we'll come back to council members for final comment and action. So I'll start to my left. Councilmember Valenzuela, questions?
No questions.
Okay, Councilmember Rocha, questions?
Yes. This question is going to be regarding the concurrency and affordability, so I'm not sure who from our community development department would like to answer that. So can you speak to what the city's current requirement is for concurrency and affordability with their inclusionary housing ordinance?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luis Ochoa. I'm the Senior Community Development Analyst with the City of Salinas, the Housing Division. And under its current affordable housing plan, we have done a very thorough job at looking at the inclusionary ordinance along with the affordable housing plan that has been put in place. And for example, this development is going to produce both type of housing, which is going to be rental and ownership. And so basically, they had opted for option one. And with city staff and the developer, we analyzed and we reviewed all the numbers. And the affordable housing plan is in conformance with every aspect of our current inclusionary ordinance that was approved by City Council in 2017.
Good afternoon, Lisa Brinton, Community Development Director. To answer your question regarding concurrency, so the current ordinance requires that, states that the city may issue building permits for 70% of the market rate units prior to issuing the first permit for an affordable unit. And that percentage can be even higher should the developer partner with an affordable housing developer. The onboarding, the permitting of the affordable units can be delayed even further, and 100% could come at a later date if there is that partnership. So I believe that was your question.
So in short, our current inclusionary housing ordinance says after 70%.
70% is the tipping point.
And I'm going to, if it's okay with the city attorney, reference the side agreement made with the Salinas Housing Justice Coalition and Stonebridge Homes. In that agreement, it says the parties agree that Stonebridge will not use the in lieu fee option in the ordinance for their ownership projects in the central area, but instead satisfy their inclusionary requirements for ownership dwellings by building their affordable by design residential dwellings within Stonebridge's portion of the central area. It also says Stonebridge will follow the concurrency requirements incorporated in the ordinance, and in addition, will obtain one building permit for a required inclusionary ownership unit for every 6 market rate building permits issued. So the side agreement that was made goes far beyond what our current inclusionary
Correct, and that is at
ordinance.
the developer's discretion. This is just sets the minimum threshold that is required.
And so it's my understanding the developer has agreed to uphold this side agreement that was made.
There's an executed letter, yes.
Okay, and I just wanted to highlight that as we have an ordinance in place, but there is a side agreement that was made between advocates and the developer that's going to really go far above what our current ordinance says.
Correct.
There is going to be set aside 355 designated affordable units, 67 very low income units, 134 low income units, 67 moderate income units, and 67 workforce income units. Tying this back into our RENA goal numbers, historically we have not done well with meeting our moderate and workforce RENA numbers. Do you think this is going to make a significant dent in that area of need?
Definitely. I think one of the areas that our current inclusionary ordinance did, it allowed for developers to develop inclusionary housing units at higher income thresholds, which will include moderate, workforce, and so it's medium. We have workforce, and then we have moderate incomes, which will be the equivalent to 100% AMI, 120, and up to 160. So those are the 3 thresholds that typically in the past it had been hard to develop housing units, whether they were ownership or rental. In this specific case, those units will be for ownership opportunities.
And of the 1,674 units, 487 will be for sale for single-family and townhomes and land homes. 615 will be for sale, condominiums and apartments, and 572 will be for rent, condos, apartments, and courtyard apartments. So as I'm reading it, 1,187 units will be for housing that is not single-family home, and 487 will be for single-family homes.
Yeah, we will really have to corroborate some of those numbers, but they are stipulated within the affordable housing plan between what was going to be provided in the form of rental housing versus ownership is clearly detailed in that affordable housing plan.
Okay.
I do not know the numbers exactly from the top of my
I'm just
head.
referencing the staff report. Just wanted to confirm as I understood. Because as I understand it, what I'm looking at is 71% of the units of housing in this development will be essentially non-single family homes, which is really something I wanted to point out, which is a huge need in our community to have a more diverse set of housing options for residents. Lastly, can you talk about the open space amenities that are going to be included in this development? Because it's my understanding there's 10 lots that are going to be available for open space, but it's 6 parks that are going to be included in this development. But I just wanted to clarify if that was a correct interpretation of the development.
Is it possible to pull up the, I think, slide maybe 2 or 3 that showed the CASP area? Maybe the one after that might be better. So there are a number of creeks that run through the property, and this might be a good question for the developer as well, but from a staff standpoint, the implementation of the future growth area requires 100-foot setbacks from top of bank for all the creeks and waterways in the project area. Those creeks, I believe, are these lines here. I think there's something else going over here. This particular project has 2 school sites that are actually not a part of the project, but there is a park here and there's something over here as well. These would be considered recreational open space areas for the enjoyment of the future residents.
Thank you. And then lastly, this will be for the city attorney. For so long, this development was held up in court over lawsuits with school districts. But it's my understanding there was a settlement with the Salinas Union High School District and the developers on this. Can you speak to what was included in that settlement agreement?
So I can't speak to the specifics necessarily because the city was not a part of that settlement agreement, but the developer who is in the audience and can perhaps speak to that in public comment. But there was teacher housing essentially provided for the Salinas Union High School District as part of an apartment development on Abbott Street. And so in exchange for dropping their litigation against the city and the real parties and interest developers, that teacher housing was provided to the Salinas Union High School District to make it available for their employees.
Thank you. Those are all of my questions, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councilmember Sandoval. Okay. Councilmember Barrera, questions?
Madam Mayor, I'm going to wait during public comment. I hope the developer can publicly just say that they will honor this agreement. So I'm going to wait for that. And but other than that, going through the Planning Commission, and I feel pretty well. But I would like to hear it in public as far as the integrity of this agreement. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Osornio, questions?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I do. I don't know if I can ask the question or maybe ask it, and then when the developer comes up, maybe he can address it. But my questions were just going to be on some of the concerns that came up with HOA versus some other type of agreements to how to maintenance the area. So hopefully the developer could kind of touch on that very quickly. And then also I would like to hear about this agreement and see if the developer's going to honor it as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have no questions on this hearing, so we will go out to the public. Do members of the public wish to comment on this item? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I apologize. My city attorney is advising we should probably give the developers the first opportunity to speak. Sorry about that. Welcome, and just like to be fair with everyone else, you have 2 minutes.
New York City Council, Hugh Walker, Stonebridge Homes. This is a long time in the making here, folks. This is 18 years worth of work to get to this stage. We have been in a housing crisis for better than 10 years. This tentative map is probably the first major subdivision map that has come in front of the City Council in 25 years. So this is the beginning of a lot of new housing and hopefully some rent relief and hopefully some price stabilization in the for sale market. The more we can put supply out there, the more choices people have, the more competitive it becomes. So it's pretty simple economics. We've been waiting this for a long time. I'd like to thank the previous city council that got us to this stage. Tony, you were on that, or Mr. Barrera, you were on that in 2020. Everybody else here that has been advocating for this and pushing forward, thank you very much. Chris Callahan, city attorney, for all your help. We really appreciate it. I still have 47 seconds. I'm going pretty fast. There was a couple of comments. I mean, I guess I'm going to come back later for the comments. Is that?
I'll give you the opportunity to do it now.
Okay. So there were a couple of comments with the concurrency and the for sale. They have it right on the 70%. We are going to do 1 to 6. We are going to honor that agreement with the Housing Advocacy Group that was made back in 2020. Our then president at the time, Hugh Bickle, signed it. We will honor it. We are a company of our word, and we will do that. We've been here a very long time. We built the original Creek Bridge, and I've been here since that project started in 1987. So I have a lot of history with Creek Bridge and what currently is going on.
I'm going to go ahead and give you, with the council's nod, I understand Councilmember Barrera and Councilmember Osornio would like their questions answered.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and put 2 more minutes on the clock, but I do want to be fair to everybody in the audience.
Okay, I will go quickly.
Thank you.
Councilman Rocha asked about parks and open space. There is a lot of open space in the CASP area. We don't have very much open space on our tentative map. We are in the center of it, so we have no creeks, but we do have a lot of parks that exceed our Quimby Act. And there is a park standard from the city of Salinas, depending on the size of the park, depends on the amenities that go into the park. Questions? HOA and CCNRs you mentioned. Okay, so this project, going through the specific plan and all the approvals, is supposed to be basically a net zero cost other than fire and police that are the obvious to the city. That meaning that streets, sidewalks, lighting, light posts, landscaping, common area landscaping will all be bore on the backs of the people that buy the homes and the landlords that keep maintain ownership of multifamily homes. So that can be in the form of a landscape maintenance district. It can be in the form of a CFD, a Mello-Roos, an HOA. We haven't completely 100% decided. With an HOA, they tend to be a little bit more self-governing rather than having the city do it. No offense, but I think that we can probably do a better job at maintaining all of this, and initially out of the get-go anyway. And then when you do set up an HOA, all of it, budgeting, everything goes, the purchase agreement, CCNRs, everything goes through the Department of Real Estate. So there is an approval process from a governing board that actually approves the budget and everything that gets put in the budget. So that would be setting up an HOA. The HOAs would be governed by a board that is elected of homeowners and a third-party management company. That all gets set up prior to the first closing of a single-family home. And then, Tony, I don't know what you... I mentioned that we would honor the agreement. So, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Public comment on this item. 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm David Masonev. I'm excited about this. We had a rent meeting just the other day at the PAL Center, as Christopher remembers, and one of the things that I brought up was rent control, though I understand the need for it, isn't going to really solve the problem. It's a Band-Aid approach. The problem with the city is supply and demand. We don't have any supply for the demand that we have for units. This is a beginning. This is awesome. This is something that I would like to see way more of, the city being proactive and getting involved and really starting to build. And deed restrictions are going to be an imperative part of this. I don't know if anybody thought about that, but how are you going to ensure that Salinas residents benefit from this and not people from the outside? And you can do that through a deed restrictions, with the saying, hey, you got to live here 3 years before you can apply for this type of housing. So I'm totally excited, and yeah, so good job. Thanks.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, City Council, Madam Mayor. Luis Chago Juarez for Building Healthy Communities, and as the previous resident had commented, lots of excitement. The work that we have been investing in, along with a coalition of other organizations, CCA, CBDIO, Monterey Bay Central Labor Council, Reinvest 831. For over the past year, we have been in an engagement process with our city council member folks, with residents, and in all the conversations, it's always about housing. Yes, this is not a solution. It is a Band-Aid to a very huge wound. And we're gonna do our best to make sure that this Band-Aid stays, and it contributes to the healing that will allow for our residents to build enough capital, to build enough economic muscle to be able to purchase a home. And just to double back on that side agreement, Mr. Walker, I think we are very, very excited to hear that this effort is being made to benefit each person from each district, and we have been engaging folks from each district. District 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think there's a 3 here right now. I think we're missing our 3 and our 6, but they show up with us, and this is what we're about. Housing for everybody. Housing is a human right, and I believe my compatriots here are in agreement, and I believe there's a good number of folks here that believe the same as well. Housing for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McDougall, thank you for your patience. I got you here before 8 p.m.
Next summer, when the students come to learn about city government, can I be part of the class too to learn how to read the agenda? That'd be great. Enough self-deprecation. I'm still Steve McDougall. I don't need to reintroduce myself, but I am fully in support of the agreement. I hope you approve staff's recommendations for this project. It is overdue and needed. And the gift, not all tort cases have good outcomes, but I got to say, the housing project for the high school district was a very good outcome, but it's not enough. And half of it's for classified employees and half of it's for teachers. Yeah, teachers make more, but they don't make too much, but they make too much to qualify for the housing that we have. So they need options, and this is one of them. We have 5 brand new teachers that just landed in our community. They started school today that are trying to find a place to couch surf as we speak. So we're not going to be able to help them tonight, but rest assured, in the future, hopefully things will have some options. So I hope you approve the recommendation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Again, Katie Bassler, President of Salinas Valley Federation of Teachers. I want to echo what Mr. McDougall said. It is painful to hear new educators that are excited about moving to Salinas, starting their careers as educators, and they can't find housing that they can afford. This is a huge step and a huge win for the city, and we thank the council for all of their work to come with this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Mayor Craig and members of the council. I'm Jeff Morgan, President of Chiefs, but I'm very proud to support this community, this project. I know my predecessor was involved in many of the discussions, and I'm excited about the idea of, imagine 201 Section 8 holders, having folks here that can get the kind of deep affordability the community needs so desperately to avoid overcrowding and to add to the solution. It's like Chago said, I mean, basically the rent caps or rent stabilization is a Band-Aid. What we really need is more housing, and I hope you vote for this today. Thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Jesús Estrada. Soy uno de los organizadores con Centro de Abogacía de la Comunidad. Y a mí me da gusto que haya más viviendas, ¿sí? Como pensaba el gobernador actual, necesitamos 1 millón de viviendas, ¿sí? Todo California. Así que me da gusto, pero también hay que pensar cómo realmente los residentes de Salinas pueden beneficiar eso, porque muchas veces los que vienen fuera son los que compran y rentan, o los que vienen fuera son los que rentan y trabajan en otra área. Pero ¿cómo podemos ver que realmente los residentes de California se han beneficiado de este tipo de viviendas? Muchísimas gracias.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jesus Estrada, and I'm an organizer with CCA. And I'm really happy to see that there's going to be more housing here for the area. Our governor said that we needed 1 million housing in all California, and I'm happy to see that we're moving forward. But we have to see that the residents of Salinas can really benefit from these houses, because a lot of people come from outside, they buy the houses and they rent them. So we really have to see that the community and the people that live in Salinas are the one that benefit from these housings. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Matt Huerta here. As a local resident, affordable housing consultant, and housing community development director for the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, I am pleased to support the approval of the Stonebridge Homes Tentative Map application for the first phase of the Central Area Specific Plan. The plan embodies many positive urban planning principles, including walkability to parks, schools, shopping, and a range of housing types that also addresses various affordability levels. That said, affordability does not happen without specific policies and investment. We have a good inclusionary ordinance that incentivizes apartment development by giving the option for lower fees to increase feasibility, while still reserving rental homes for Section 8 voucher holders. Many voucher holders we know struggle to find opportunities in our community. 201 new homes will be a huge benefit for our residents. Our inclusionary ordinance, as was mentioned earlier, is overdue to be updated. One of the key areas is ensuring that affordable homes are built concurrently with market rate homes. On behalf of the Salinas Housing Justice Coalition, we appreciate the cooperation of Stonebridge Homes to land on an agreement that goes beyond the existing inclusionary ordinance, such as building affordable for-sale homes at a ratio of 1 for every 6 market rate homes, and assurances that local residents will be invited to purchase first. This is critical given the pressure we are seeing from the Bay Area residents who are looking to relocate here. This project represents a model for how we can all collaborate to ensure there are more opportunities for all sectors of our workforce.
I'm Bill Freeman. Thank you for considering this project to build more homes here in the city of Salinas. But as a longtime resident and native of Salinas, California, I firmly believe Salinas needs more affordable housing, because every day I see more homeless people pushing carts around the city everywhere I drive to. And the fact is that the city of Salinas was marked one of the most expensive places in the country to live, and the prices are somewhat too high for a lot of people. So I would like to see in the distant future to build more affordable housing where you can do that, to make sure that everyone has a place to live. And secondly, I would like to find out what the city is doing in terms of getting the people who have no homes and are desperately on the streets every day pushing carts. What are we doing to make sure that we see no more homeless people? And that's what I'd like to see. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Name is Eric Peterson. Speaking in this case as President Pedali Alpini, one of the oldest and most successful cycling organizations in the United States. And it's interesting this comes up during the Olympics because we had Olympic team members. I didn't see anything in the report about bicycle facilities. However, I know one of the neighboring developments has bicycle facilities, and the last I heard they were still not in compliance with the Caltrans Highway Design Manual, Chapter 1000. The significant thing there is these are safety-oriented, and they use the word shall. And I'll leave it to the city manager to define that, city attorney, sorry, Chris, to define that, except it's used in the Internal Revenue Code, and I've seen it used in court. There are bicycle facilities all over Monterey County that are not in compliance with the Highway Design Manual. Fortunately here, almost all of them are, and that's a good thing because it's safety oriented. So we need to keep doing that, and we need to make sure, but if any bicycle facilities in this development, as well as all the others in the future growth area, are in compliance with Chapter 1000 Highway Design Manual. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, miembros del Concilio Mayor y todo el equipo. My name is Sabino Lopez. I've been working with CCA for more than 30 years and a long time Salinas resident. And mainly, advocating for affordable housing in the whole of Monterey County, mainly here in Salinas, in North County, and everywhere we can. So I'm here to support this tentative map, and mainly for the part of the affordable housing, because I think it's very important for us, for Salinas, our residents, our crisis, the rent is very expensive, it's not a places to go, a lot of evictions, a lot of pressures for our families. They don't make enough money to pay rent, and they're getting worse and worse. Hopefully this project will give more opportunities for our community, to have more access for a new housing and decent housing where they can live with dignity and retain the people here in Salinas, because a lot of people are thinking to move out because here is very expensive to live. It's not enough money for everything, and everywhere you go is very expensive. So I think I'm pleased to see this happening. Hopefully soon, I don't know when. If you can tell us when it's going to be started building, because we've been waiting for years. I know this, we approved this, we were working years and years advocating for this prior, and we expecting that something going to happen, but we didn't see nothing for years. Hopefully now, but when is my last question for you, when? Hopefully you're going to ask the question for everyone, and you want to respond hopefully sooner than later, okay? Thank you very much.
Monterey Community, Jose Guerra, great idea. We're just about 10, 15 years short of the time. But if we had another 5 or 6, maybe 10 more of these ideas going at the same time, we could probably not have a rent control problem like we have. We don't. We have a housing problem, and I mentioned that before. And if we can redirect that to reforming Section 8 and everything else that we do, so we can make that an opportunity for everybody, not just some people. Everybody. You have a lot of farm workers that don't have any housing. And just in our community, they just approved Mr. Bengard's H2A unit. And when I talked to Avila Construction, I asked them, why don't you build one for the farm workers that live here, not just the ones that come and visit? You have a lot of farm workers here that need housing. And maybe not just farm workers, maybe, people that are struggling in other areas. But I'm just saying, if we're going to do that, we're going to be a community, why don't we take care of the people that feed us? The people that work in the fields feed you guys. They feed all these agriculture guys, all these big money guys. Without the workforce, they can't do it. I don't see how they don't see that. I don't see how nobody sees that. El Mexicano, he works hard and he's not appreciated. Why? I don't understand that. And I see everybody, and you guys, God bless you, sitting up there and taking all this criticism, but let's do something about it now. Let's put our foot in the door and start walking forward instead of backwards and having all these ag guys control everything. There's people here that need housing. Let's take care of it. Let's start with the farm workers and the homeless and the people that can't afford it.
Hi, good afternoon, City Council. I'm just going to echo what others said, especially this gentleman right before me, and Matt and Jesus and Sabino. CCA supports this project. My name is Natalie Herendine. I'm the Executive Director for CCA. But we do hope that the affordable homes are built first, or at least at the same time and the same amount of numbers as the market rate homes, and that there is a local preference set for farm workers, for the most vulnerable, for homeless individuals, for teachers, and that also that everything is built as green as sustainably as possible, because as we can all tell, it's getting hotter here, and we hope that there's community gardens and lots of trees and lots of access to parks and local parks mixed in with the housing. So, thank you.
My only concern with the development is in terms of infrastructure, safety, firefighters, police. Our roads is degrading more and more and more. Boronda is in a very, very bad stage. So what is the responsibility for the developers in terms of this, and for how long? This is my concern. We need more housing. We need more developers here on the area. Is the progress, is the future, is growing Salinas, but we need more responsibility for the constructors, companies, and everyone involved in the project.
Margaret Serna-Benetti, for the record, and I want to thank the council for this project and the mayor for finally bringing this to fruition. I'd like to thank Hugh Walker and Mr. Bickle and Stonebridge for finally getting this off the ground. I know it's not that easy to get it off the ground. The economy dictates quite a bit. We need housing, but sometimes the economy just doesn't allow for projects like this to get off the ground. But we're finally here, and as somebody said, it is a Band-Aid. Farm worker housing, yes, greatly needed. Maybe we could sort of one-up Half Moon Bay. Can you believe Half Moon Bay finally approved farm worker housing through all the kicking and screaming that that's not the right kind of community for the farm worker housing? But it all is, because farm workers, I mean, they're the bread and butter. So I wanted to bring something else up that, so this project is going to have a lot of impact on all the other communities. And I welcome housing. Not always so hot on putting all the other projects in our area, spread that around, please. But there's a lot of traffic impact, as we know, thanks for the upgrades on Independence, but Constitution, with all the traffic that goes back and forth and they race. And so maybe some of those roundabouts that are being planned for Boronda and other areas, maybe we can get one of those on Constitution so that we don't have people racing from one end of Boronda all the way down, cutting through lights. It's very dangerous. People have been killed in that area. So I just wanted to, bring that up. And I am so happy that Stonebridge is willing to, that agreement was made out for the teacher housing and also for the 1 to 6. That's a huge improvement. And so I just want to say
Buenas tardes de nuevo. Mi nombre es Nidia. Soy residente de aquí de la ciudad de Salinas y por lo tanto estoy muy contenta de escuchar este proyecto y le pido al concilio que apruebe estas viviendas. Pero al igual tengo algunas preocupaciones y sugerencias. ¿Cómo podemos, número uno, cómo podemos asegurar que por cada 6 viviendas construidas a un precio de mercado nos aseguremos y se aseguren de construir una vivienda a un precio asequible? Número 2, y que esas viviendas sean para residentes de Salinas y no para residentes extranjeros de otra ciudad. Y con esto ayudaríamos la escasez de vivienda para la comunidad de Salinas. Y número 3, ¿cómo podemos desarrollar avenidas para compradores por primera vez? para que podamos acceder a estas viviendas. Gracias.
Hello again, my name is Nidia Soto, and I'm so happy to see this project is going to be approved in Salinas. I'm happy to see that these houses are going to be built, but I'm worried about a few things. Like, how are we going to make sure that from every 6 homes that are built at market rate, one is going to be affordable? How are we going to make sure that these homes go to people that live in Salinas and are not bought from people that come from other cities or for outside of Salinas? And also, we should think about making or having a path for first-time home buyers. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Genesis Mojica. I also work with CCA. I'm actually the youth organizer over there. I'm very appreciative of this type of thing being brought up because unfortunately I do connect with a lot of youth and their housing situations, specifically one youth that lives with 15 other people in a 3-bedroom home. Things like this are very important, and I hope that we continue to bring things up, and I can bring youth to even speak about their own experiences because we really do need more housing. But like mentioned, I really hope that we take initiative and to make sure that these are Salinas residents getting these type of these services and making sure that it's open to them. And if there can be some type of first buyer kind of introduction, a lot of people who don't know how to even get a home. So I hope that there's more resources like that. Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Adriana Molina, soy parte del equipo de CCA y estoy aquí también para abogar por las viviendas accesibles. Creo que todos mencionaron que tenemos una situación muy difícil en Salinas y todos sus alrededores, pero en este caso enfocando en Salinas, muchas familias viviendo, ¿verdad?, en una sola vivienda, tantas personas, tantos niños sufriendo por esto. Entonces estoy aquí agradecida con todos ustedes por escuchar a cada uno de nosotros y esperamos tener una buena respuesta. Gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is Adriana Molina, and I work with CCA. And I'm very happy to hear that we are building affordable homes here in Salinas. This is a very hard situation, not only here, but all around. But I'm glad that we're focusing in Salinas. I'm so happy that there's homes that are being built that are affordable because this really, children are suffering. And I'm glad that you are building this. And I'm glad that you have heard our voices. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Yolanda Hayes, and I agree with everything that's being said tonight with the more housing is being built. The only concern I have is what we currently have is somebody's making a lot of money, and those are the people that own these houses and are renting rooms and cots and laundry rooms for people to sleep, so they can pack in a lot of people in one home. How is that going to? Is that even investigated? Is that okay to do? I'm sure they don't report taxes on the people they have and the monies they collect. That's just a comment that I have because I know there's some people in Salinas that are making a lot of money off of the tenants. Thank you.
Yes, no, I'm very excited about this project. This is one of the projects that, before I was on city council, I worked with the nonprofit groups to support it. And so, the fact that we are building concurrently, the developer has agreed to that is huge because farm workers need housing, but also, as the teachers union said, teachers also need housing. Those folks that may not qualify for the affordable rates, but still cannot afford a home here. So also to the city manager, still my fourth city council meeting, so kind of getting the hang of it. So just a few recommendations to take to staff. One is we should start doing a little bit more financial literacy. We don't want to get into a situation where these homes get built and folks rush to apply for the homes, but they don't have the credit, they don't have the money in the bank, maybe they don't even have a bank account because they don't trust financial institutions. And so if we start now with financial literacy, by the time that these homes get built, it gives Salinas residents a better chance to qualify. So that's one thing. The other one is, I know that because of redlining, we can't force only certain residents to be able to qualify first, but maybe with the developer, we can work on a marketing plan where the residents here are the first ones to know and they are able to apply. So maybe we can start thinking about a marketing plan for our residents, working with the nonprofit groups so that our residents are the first ones to know and are able to apply. And finally, maybe we can start exploring a potential partial tax or something so that we can bring more resources to our fire department. You know, that area is going to be huge. I know that our fire department is already stretched thin, and so maybe a tax that will help them expand would be good. So those are just my comments, but thank you.
Councilmember Rocha.
I want to thank everyone who's been involved in this process, thank our city staff for all of their work throughout the years in this process. I think that this development is a real strong example of how you can bring the community into the decision-making process and have stakeholders really have a say in how their cities are built out. So I want to commend the Salinas Housing Justice Coalition. I want to commend Stonebridge Homes for your approach, collaborative approach to working on this tentative map. This is long overdue and will provide so much opportunities and relief for our community. 335 units of affordable housing, over 1,000 units of non-single family homes. We are going to have a lot of condominiums, a lot of apartments, a lot of housing that is really going to be affordable by design on top of the housing that is set aside as a deed restricted affordable housing. So this is going to meet a lot of needs in our community. And we're also having open space included in this development. So we're not going to create just developments, we're going to create communities. And so I really want to highlight all the good that's in this project and thank everyone for their involvement in it. Happy to move the item for approval.
Second.
This will provide a lot of opportunity for our community. Thank you, everyone.
Motion made by Councilmember Rocha, seconded by Councilmember Sandoval. Will go on.
My colleagues have said a lot, but I want to say I think this is a historic collaborative victory. I think this is the first time I've ever heard or watched or attended a council meeting where you have the developer organizations like Landwatch, housing advocates and community, and the council all speaking positive about a project. I think this moment is historic. I'm glad that Hugh has taken that approach, and thank you, Matt, for your leadership in Chago and the community, as well as the council. I'm excited to see this project move forward, and I hope that this is an example for future developments. There is a lot of projects in the works, and I'm thankful to the council for approving additional staff to address some of the new tentative maps that are going to be coming forward, as well as making sure that our residents are being served. So I just want to thank everybody for their participation. I'm looking forward to this project moving forward.
Councilmember Barrera, final comments.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to say in memory of Alfred Diaz Infante and the great gentleman, Mr. Hugh Bickle. CCA, BHC, beating the drum daily, walking the streets, holding your heart in your hand and making this happen. You folks have a lot to do with this, being here today. Somebody mentioned, why does it take so many years? I am sorry we deal with government like that. It doesn't matter what level it is. And yeah, sometimes we figure, why does it take so long? But I do have to say, if it wasn't people like Mr. Hugh Walker doesn't wait to be called, he calls us. He puts the homework on the table, explains it, and he continues. He's met with school districts, he's met with every council member that chooses to meet with them. It is individuals like that. I know a lot of times we hear the word developer and all of a sudden we think, oh, bad people. But Hugh Walker's unique. And I think he mentioned almost 25 years we haven't built anything, no homes. But look at this today. Thanks also to the unity of this council for a long time has been told that we're very dysfunctional. Well, this is dysfunction. Let's get more of that. This is a great, my colleagues, I have to commend you. I've been here for a while, but there's no spider webs yet. I'm excited about what we're doing. You're thinking about everybody. Some of you are even thinking about how do we help people become first-time buyers? That's historical. And how do we help the people that live in Salinas versus people that are going to come from out of town? Well, this council is in unison in that. You know, the word dignity was put out there. I think where I live by Closter Park. I love where I live. I live in the Alisal. I love my home, my neighbors. Vicky, which is my neighbor, she rents space just to make her rent, not rooms. The couch costs $250. The corner in the living room costs another $300. And that's the reality. And you know what's interesting about all these people that live in this house? They all get up at 4 or 5 in the morning to go to work. They're not looking for handouts. They're looking for an opportunity. And I'm going to say this last thing. And you know, we talk a lot about our $4 to $8 billion agriculture industry, which is phenomenal. We're known for that. But that same $4 to $8 billion industry creates poverty in a lot of areas. Not a bad thing. A lot of people are coming for a better life. They're coming to work, but they find out we're going to make dollars now, but then they find out the check is not enough to go get a studio apartment. It's not enough. But I think we're making a great path today. And I want to thank all of you that have been involved in this. And I think Mr. Sabino Lopez, which has been here from day one, muchas gracias, Sabino. He asked the question, when? So Mr. Hugh Walker, let's get the shovels out really quick because we want to make, Sabino and I are still around when this project gets done. So thank you to all of you.
Councilmember Osornio, final comments.
Yeah, this is the great part of going last. I mean, all of my colleagues have said it best. It's a real pleasure to see a collaborative effort and just making sure that one, developers are developing, our community are getting homes, and obviously for us as well, being able to see that come to fruition. So thank you everybody that was involved, you know, I always joke around with Hugh and I say, Hugh, is it true that you're the boogeyman? You know, you're the developer and you put the name developer in front. But I've got to say, every single time I've ever taken a call from Hugh, just like Councilmember Barrero said, has all the documents and goes step by step, and whether we agree or disagree, we have a great conversation every time that we're meeting. So I just wanted to say thank you for that and just being informative more than anything. So just wanted to thank my colleagues as well for being supportive of making sure that this happens, and whether it's different types of assistance with rentals or purchasing. It's just great to know that this council is fully supportive of that. So thank you. No further comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll just take a quick moment to say that when I originally ran for city council in 2010, I learned about the future growth area, and more specifically, the west area and the central area. I was a representative for North Salinas and took a moment to really sit down at the time with Hugh Bickle and Hugh Walker to really understand what they were trying to accomplish with the central area specific plan. This plan has been in front of many iterations of this council. It's come forward in 2011, it came forward a little later on, and so I would acknowledge that the city, I hope, continues to be a strong partner with you in developing more homes in your property and your development. I know it's been a long time coming, and we're excited to continue down the road with you to ensure that we have really quality housing for all residents in our community. I do just, to the staff report itself, it seems like it's a bit of a slam dunk. Obviously, the tentative map is in compliance with CEQA. That's the big one. I'm grateful that the Planning Commission reviewed it and gave you a giant thumbs up. And we're really excited for 1,674 dwelling units. So happy to support what's being put forward today. With that, I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocha?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela?
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you.